Vulnerability may be a source of reluctance to support change. For trade unions, justice in the transition process is essential. Change must go hand in hand with protection.
If it is in the interest of all of humanity and the entire planet that we change our ways, it is profoundly unfair for the social and economic costs of those changes to be borne by workers in specific industries and people in particular regions.
Just transition is a commitment to working people to say, when you fight for climate change, you're not sacrificing your job. And there's nothing more important, I think, not just for trade unionists and for workers, but for the overall future of environmental protection than to reconcile these two objectives.
The need for a just transition is apparent in the oil fields of central Colombia, where unions have already paid a heavy price in their fight for workers' rights.
In Colombia,
trade union activities is considered to be very risky.
De muy alto riesgo. Son muchísimos los miles de
Thousands of trade union, civic and popular leaders have been murdered.
Despite numerous threats against them, 2 years ago it was the union who fought back against the environmentally damaging exploitation by a foreign oil company of this oil field.
What worries us as a union? Oil has encouraged people to come to this area. From 12,500 people, there are now 30,000 from other parts of the country who arrive with job expectations. But when the oil is finished, what will they live off?
The fight against the oil company led to the inclusion of better environmental practices in the exploitation area and adequate compensation for the communities who occupy the land.
No tenemos una cultura de defensa de la naturaleza.
We are not a culture that defends the environment as in other countries, but I think that we would get there, perhaps not at the same time. But if developing nations provide an example and all those concerned with the environment show us the way and help us in the path towards a greener agenda, then perhaps a country like ours will see the light.
Fighting climate change is not automatically going to produce good employment results. It's not a convenient truth that the two things will happen together. We have to make it happen. We have to adopt policies, we have to get industry, trade unions and governments working together. And this type of cooperation has gone rather out of fashion in the neoliberal agenda of recent decades. We've actually got to look behind us, look to the past, and see how, as I say, governments and social partners have sat down together with a bit of vision, looking beyond the problem of tomorrow to the problems of the day after tomorrow, and work out solutions which are of benefit to all parties.
Trade unions now march in unison with other social movements, such as development and environmental NGOs, in search for coordinated solutions to climate change. It is time to fight together for our very survival.
Modern trade unions have to combine the fight for the rights of the workers with the fight for the construction of a new society. We have to decide what kind of development we want. Do we want economic growth that does not include the future of our planet, our society, animals, water and plant life? So it is vital that trade unions combine their immediate fights with a perspective of the future.
Sustainable development calls for a new democracy. We need a new kind of relationship amongst nations to respond to this transition.
As trade unionists, we will rise to the challenge of creating a sustainable world.
Climate change is everyone's problem.
We can and will be part of the solution.
Unite.
Unas a nós.
Rejoignez-nous.
Join us.